welcome aboard tonight. We are hoping we've got some mic audio coming through to you now, loud and clear. And looking forward to tonight's first round of the Roadster Rumble here from what is one of my favourite tracks actually, Road America. We are going live shortly for qualifying. We're going to take you into this one. We've got 86 versus the Mazda, brand new series here for the Roadster Rumble. Let's get into this. So as we go out into qualifying, 15 minutes on the clock, I'm going to run you through a few little changes to this season. As you can see, straight out onto the racetrack, we've got plenty of new drivers that have signed up on the back of what is such a popular series. And see Jared Philsey out there. Good. It's great to see Jared racing. And let me take you through a few of the little things that Greg Holmes just sent across to me. He's our series organizer. As we get rid of the music, and this is, like I said, it's the 86 versus Mazda, so something brand new. We've been used to this series running 3 classes of the Mazda, and then also last season 2 classes of Mazda. This time we're going 86 versus the MX-5. So the Toyota is quicker overall on a single lap, but the Mazda has more top-end speed. So just having a look through the timing from practice, it wasn't a huge difference between them, and that's why I love this little matchup. We'll probably see all the 86s rise to the top, but I think over the space of a race distance we might see some of the Mazdas just get involved in the top end action. Furthermore, we see that Jared Philsey has joined us with Aaron Borg as well this season. So Aaron's won the Australian Toyota Championship in 2019, so great to have him on board, and hopefully we'll be able to see him out there shortly. And it's great to have him. He's also done the Super Utes. Jared's competed, of course, in the Supercars E Series, Pro Invitational Series, and many other high-profile events. As we basically a household name in sim racing is Jared. The format tonight: 2 30-minute races, so they're sticking to that beautiful format. Oh, I love it. 2 short races. A little twist they're put in there is that basically race 2 of every round, we're going to see the top 8 finishes from race 1 inverted. So that's going to throw a little bit of something different into the mix, and we might see some upsets with that. I love that because it does just change it up. If someone's dominated race 1, they're going to have to work pretty hard in race 2. What else have we got here? We've got pit stops are mandatory. Starting fuel in the 86, 20 litres, and for the Mazda it's 12.5 litres. The 86 obviously using more fuel, so you'll notice that. She does sound a bit different, the 86, compared to the MX-5. We'll try and pick out a few of those little idiosyncrasy nuances as we go through tonight's race. Drivers get 5 incident points per race. Any driver with more than 5 incident points in a race will lose 1 championship point for every incident thereafter. I like that ruling. That really lends itself towards clean racing, and hopefully that's what we're here to see. So that should be good. And basically it's going to be a night of epic racing. We've got 3 rounds, then we have a week off, and then we go back for 3 more rounds. So they've split it up nicely into little segments this season number 8. Big thanks to all the sponsors that have come on board again. There's Greg Holmes, our series organizer. He's going to come and have a chat to us at some point tonight, and he's out there in the MX-5, so he's decided to stay with the old gun. Some drivers have changed up. It's good to see Keith Logan out there in the 86, some brand new paintworks, Southern Cross racing car, looking beautiful in the sunlight here. And we'll have a look at those weather conditions quickly. It's 19 degrees ambient with a 21 degree track temp, partly cloudy, so they're conditions that are perfect for some good grip and some good hard racing. As always, if you're here to see someone in particular, make sure you let me know so I can give them plenty of airtime. That's what it's all about. It's about you guys interacting and me showing off your friends or your family if you've come here to watch them. Let's take you through a few of the drivers we remember from last season. We'll try and pick out a couple of the new guys as well. Graham Ellis, another fantastic driver who's been out there doing some practice, currently sitting in the MX-5 and heading around to hopefully set his first flying lap. We'll flick it over into qualifying mode just to show some sector times. You can see Ryan Casher down the bottom there currently with the fastest third sector. Went slower in sector 4. We'll need to try and just sort that out. And let's have a look at Brenton Hobson, who's a crowd favourite as always. Hobbo in the 86, so he's also stepped up into the Group A car. Where else would we expect Hobbo? Let's see what he can do as he starts to round out his first lap. Ben Snell's done well there with the purple sector, sector 5. And Jared Hughes also on a pretty decent lap. We'll see these times as they cross the line shortly. Heading up the pit straight, we've got the overhead shot as always, and there's our first time on the board, a 2:31.65 from Casher. And Connors goes second, then Hobson eclipses both of them and goes to the top with that time of a 2:30 flat, .66. So not bad. We've so far got 5 Toyotas at the top. Anthony Connors is the top MX-5, so he's sitting himself currently 6th outright ahead of Ellis. Keith Logan's gone 9th as Darren Linus slots himself up into the top 10, drops back to 7th straight away from Cameron Edwards, as Dylan Canto now also goes up into the top. So nice job. And there is Ryan Casher from We've Been Hooning. That's his team. I love the livery on this car, looking very, very good. So we'll take a bit of a shot now. We'll have a look at some onboards with Ryan as he has set 1 lap time, currently just on 1 second off the pace. So let's jump on board and have a bit of a listen at this car as it gets around the back end of this circuit. So a little bit of cross country there from Casher as he's just keeping the tyres nice and fresh. Not. So he'll have to go back and he may start another lap here. We've got 15 minutes for qualifying. You see him moving around there, probably trying to clean those tyres up, and then he'll get set for another run shortly. John Thorne's out there. Let's have a look at some of these new liveries and we'll zoom in and see a lot of work goes into these paints and they look incredible. So very, very good. Andrew Roberts out there as well. The opposite, he needs some sponsors on that car, so if you want to sponsor him, get involved. There is Martindale. McCulloch's back as well, currently sitting 13th. He's got a bright pink livery on the car. Anzac Kid in the house, and Med Chungus as well, saying hello. Rooting for your good mate and endurance teammate Dylan Canto, says Anzac Kid, so that's good. We'll give Dylan plenty of airtime once we get into the swing of things here. And Philip Paradiso's there. Adam St. John has joined us again. Bud Rodkin, Andrew Dutch, plenty of names back for some more racing. And as we head throughout this season, we'll try and get in touch with some of the drivers. We'll do plenty of interviews. I know we'll have Greg come and have a chat with us probably after qualifying, and depending on how his race goes, he might even pop in for a little bit more. He's a real good sport, usually helps us out. Henry Fenson's there as well. And who else we got? Wayne Losh yet to set a time, as Phil Sell is lighting up the timing screen. I expected this would happen as he now goes to the top. So Jared Philsell puts it on top for the Lobs Falcon Racing team, and decent time to a 2:30.396, 2/10 better than Hobson. And Jack Boyd, who incredible last season, in fact, has been incredible from day dot. He's also moved from the MX-5 across to the Toyota 86. He is currently P3. Just trying to see if the other Boyd's in the house. Having a look down the timing sheet. Yeah, Glenn Boyd, 31st at the moment, so he needs to get a bit of a wriggle on. We've still got about 6.5 minutes to go here in qualifying. And, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I got to tell you what, I feel absolutely like a fish out of water tonight. It's been a month off commentating sim racing and doing production for sim racing, which has been good for me to get a bit of a reset. Obviously, work never stops for me with my day job, but coming home tonight, setting this up, getting it working. Of course, having some gremlins. There's never a night without gremlins. And looks like the PC has alternated where the mic volume comes from, which caught me out at the start. So you missed my big intro. We had to do a second one. So as always, PC updates keep me on my toes, and it's been like that since day one. It was tonight 644 broadcasts. So welcome aboard. It's nice to have a few people chiming in over on Facebook as well. We've got Jill Burgess saying go Boyd Racing. So Jill will try and get plenty of action up for the Boyd guys, and Bart Rodkin, there he is. 9.5 minutes in, and it's just gone off the track there. Aaron Oliver was a driver who did well last season. He's currently 7th. And if you're wondering about the red stripe on the timing screen, that's the 86er, so you can see all the way down to Jess Carriage down in 18th place for Lockmec Racing. That's, well, the top 17 at the moment are all Toyota 86s. To be expected, and I wonder, I haven't had a chance to talk to Greg, but I wonder if they're going to do some sort of split when they roll away, but I don't think they will. I think if you qualify one of those MX-5s up the order, you're going to get yourself a good little jump off the start, get amongst the 86s. About 2.6 seconds at the moment is the gap between the fastest of our 86s versus the fastest MX-5. And I tell you what, Phil Selt is going quicker again. He's about to cross the line here. He was 0.2 quicker than Hobson. And what does he do there with that lap? Does he improve? I don't think so. Stays 0.2 the difference, so there you go. There's Matty T, who is affectionately known as last season. He's currently P13. Just chopping through his laps at the moment as well, so. So about 4 minutes to go in this qualifying session, then we get into race number 1 after a short little intermission. We'll have Greg come across and obviously introduce the new series. It's great to have so many drivers involved. I think about 50 have registered for the series. We've got 45 in the house at the moment, so pretty decent turnout for the first event. Usually you do have, you know, a lot of people that can't make it for reasons of work and family and all those sorts of things, but to have 45 out of 50 already out there practicing and qualifying, that's a real testament to how well this series is run. Jill says great, and it's good to see you guys racing again. It's great to have you here in the house, and keep the comments coming through. We'll keep flying through this as we go. Had to launch a new YouTube channel in the new year, so RSTVAU is our new YouTube handle if you want to go and check it out. So RSTVAU. I might even flick that now over into the Facebook chat so people can see it. And come and join us on YouTube. Come and give us a subscribe and get involved. This being our first broadcast on the new channel, so that's very cool. So Phil Selt, Hobson, Boyd, 3 big names at the top there. Then it's Hughes, also pretty similar times there to Boyd and Hobson. He's only 28 hundredths off the back of Phil Selt. Then you've got Snell just on 37 hundredths back. Then it's Boyd. So Glenn Boyd did bounce back. He stopped the car now. Miles Morales has gone 7th with Aaron Oliver, who we're looking at now for Penrite Palmer's Racing, sitting in P8. And then it's Damien Seeger and Ryan Cash that have round out your top 10. So has Ryan got anything left in the bag? He's just about to start another lap. So we tried before. In fact, he's pulled to the side of the track. As Lee Harrison now pops up into the top 6. Good job. Have a quick look at Cody Harrison as he comes to the line. Not sure if he's any relation to Lee Harrison, but he's now coming to the line to cross. And what does he do? He goes, well, he's 10th at the moment, and he stays 10th with that time. Starts his 3rd lap. Now I'm going to bring Greg in for a chat, and hopefully this is all working, Greg, because as always, Windows has done some updates and tried to trick me tonight, but hopefully everyone can hear you at home. Welcome aboard for season number 8, man.
Thank you, Luke. It's good to be back after a bit of a break. I'm really looking forward to this season.
Mate, it's great to have you back as well, and I'm just going to do a quick check on the live broadcast while we're talking here to make sure you're coming through, because it's been one of those things, Windows trying to kill me. But tell us a little bit about this 86 versus MX-5 series we've got going on now.
So originally we were going to look at running just the 86 because the 216 Mazda had a lot of issues setup wise. Then at the 12th hour, iRacing got their act together, and about 2 weeks ago they did a massive update on the 16 Mazda, which brought it back to being drivable. So I made the call. I'm not a big fan of the 86, to be honest. I don't think I'm alone in that either.
Why is that? Can you expand on that quickly?
So the 86 has a lot of grip, way too much grip. It's it's a bit like a mini supercar, I suppose.
Okay.
A lot of boys were having trouble in the early days. It used to lift two wheels into a tight corner as well. That's how much grip it was sort of had available. It has settled down a little bit, but it's very quick into a corner. The braking on it is really good, but the overall speed is actually still with the Mazda. So I sort of thought, well, let's try running two cars together this season.
Yeah, which I love how you've done that, and I tell you what, I was surprised too to see that the difference wasn't huge, and it's going to give those guys in the Mazda a chance, I think, in the race to try and sneak up and jump up a little bit.
Yeah, I've actually just jumped on the grid.
I better let you go, mate. You're gonna have to go race.
No, you're fine. I'm gonna try and multitask. If it all goes pear-shaped, I'll just jump out of the race and come and continue chatting.
No worries. Let me run through the grid. So it's Jared Filsell, who's put on pole for the very first race of this new season. Alongside him, Brenton Hobson. Then we've got Jack Boyd. Jared Hughes goes in P4. Snell and Harrison off the third row. Then it's Boyd, Moroz, Oliver and Harrison, your top 10 there. Seeger and Casher, your top 12. As we head further down the order, 13th on the grid is going to be Foster, Edwards, Losh, Tesserero down there in 16th place with Harrison, McCallick, Lovelock and Logan, your top 20. How long have we got for gridding here? Is it 3 minutes for us, Greg?
We have 47 seconds left.
Perfect. We'll keep going through that grid then. So 21st as we go to overall. In fact, it's not going to give me the grid for further down. Interesting. Top 20. That's what it's going to give you tonight, SDK. Beautiful. In fact, if we only got... We've got both of them out there, don't we? Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Mate, SDK is having some fun with me tonight. But Jared Filsell, do you think he's going to run away with this? He's, mate, we all know what class he is, and now he's stuck it on pole position. That's got to be something to shake in your boots if you're sitting behind.
I'm encouraging both Hobbo and Jack to extract the digit and give him some really tough competition.
Very cool. All right, let's go racing here. We'll let you concentrate for this first lap as we look at our 86s about to get off the line, and our MX-5s at the back. A bit of tyre smoke there as they roll away. It's a good start from Filsell at the front. I think he got it hooked up. Snell's on the moves, made up one spot. Moroz as well has made up a couple of spots as they race down towards this first turn. Couple of cars blinking in and out, but at the front it looks pretty secure. Filsell will lead us through the first corner. Hobson and Snell go wheel to wheel. Hobson leads us through the P2, so nice job. He's just got his nose ahead of Snell, who really started quickly. He's made up 2 spots. Filsell's already checked out by 5 or 6 car lengths, and Jack Boyd has got Hughes there as well under some pressure. Moz, and then you've got Oliver, Glenn Boyd, Casher sitting in 9th, made up 3 spots off the start, and Damien Seeger to round out your top 10. So good start all in all. I don't think we've seen any spinners at the front. The 86s are roaring along, and further back some MX-5s are on the move. I tell you what, Tyson Gordon held his own, but here comes Jesse to have a shot. Already made up a spot. Linus as well has made up a couple of spots in the opening lap. Logan went back a few. Holmes went back 1, and then it's Baker, Connors, and we've got a little bit of a dust up with a couple of cars down there. They're squeezing their way through, and all in all, well behaved, I've got to say. This series is one of the best, and the drivers are showing some respect early on as we look at Brenton Hobson, P2, as Ben Snell right behind him. So good start there. Greg, will test your commentating and driving. What was that like from the driver's perspective?
Yeah, very clean. I've got a couple of guys looking for a way through, but very difficult on the first lap. I mean, I'm in behind Keithy Rogan in the Toyota at the moment, and he's obviously being held up, so...
Yeah, he didn't get the best start. He dropped 4 spots. Now he's got the MX-5s to attack back. We've got a car around. Cameron Edwards off the track, and that was dicey for a moment there. We've got someone else sideways as Tyson Gordon back onto the circuit. He's got some right-hand side damage and keeps out of the way well. Dylan Canto, I think, is the other one in the grass early on. So a little bit happening at the end of the first lap. But out in front, it's all Filsell. Moz, unfortunately, is also dropping down my timing screen. I think he's had a slight coming together. So all in all, that's a clean first lap of this race, and it's going to be Jared Filsell that'll lead us through to cross the line to start lap 2. So 30 minutes on the clock. Even though it says 1 of lap 30, we're not going to get that in. We're probably going to get about 13 laps, I predict, in the race, in this half-hour race. And what are we saying? 1 fuel stop required, isn't it, Greg?
Yep. Both cars probably going to be stopped for the same amount of time.
Yeah, so the 86 more heavy on the fuel, you said in your email
Yes.
to me, so it's drinking the juice there, which will just even up the balance once again. Is that something you guys spend a bit of time trying to just get it nice and balanced as we watch a little overtaking manoeuvre here from McCulloch and Harrison? It was McCulloch comes out on top in the end, so nice job.
Yeah, so we did quite a bit of testing over the break, and I think we've got it fairly right.
It's not easy to do, to balance up things like strategy in different cars. It looks pretty good so far. The top 18 86s, and then we've got Keith Logan just trying to recover. He's got up, I think, a position now into 23rd after dropping 3. You're still behind him, so keep an eye on Keith. You don't want to let him get it. If you can ride his coattails and go with him, you might find yourself up into the top 15 here.
Yeah, we had a bit of an incident back on through the carousel on the last lap, which we had to avoid, so it sort of dropped me back a little bit.
So it's good to see Southern Cross Racing too, splitting their team across 2 different types of cars. So obviously no rules against that, which I love, Greg, that we've got a Mazda MX-5 in the Southern Cross colours, and then right behind it, Keith Logan in the Southern Cross in the 86. So I like that you've allowed that teams to split across the 2 makes of cars.
Yeah, so as I said, when we discovered that the Mazda was actually drivable again, we sort of said to the boys, you know, make your own choice, and there was a few of us went back to the Mazda. Keithy wanted to stay in the 86. Scott feels more comfortable in the Mazda, so they kept their team and split the cars.
There you go. So we're watching now Keith Logan all over his teammate, and let's see what happens here. If he's going to push an overtake or maybe some team orders, he'll just let him through. But Baker's in his own fight here with Darren Linus, so the Frog Leap racing car. In fact, Baker's got through, so nice job. Slips down the inside, moves himself up 6 now into the top 21. So Scotty Baker on the move. Let's go back to the top and have a look at the leaders. Phil Sell leads Hobson only by 0.2 of a second, so he's not getting away. Phil Sell. Hobbo is keeping him honest, and I'll tell you what, Snell is there as well. Jack Boyd's dropped back a few positions. I'm not sure what happened with Boyd, but let's jump on board with him and just see as he attacks the back of Jared Hughes. And some interesting team names I've noticed for this season. We've got We've Been Hoonan. That's Jared Hughes there.
Both those boys actually raced Toyota 86s in real life.
Yeah, right. Excellent. Yep.
And they're in the current 86 series. So they raced with us way back in season 1, and then real racing sort of got in the way. But I got a message from Ryan a couple of weeks ago asking if they could rejoin, which we're always happy to have.
For sure.
Guys back.
Sorry to butt in there quickly, mate. There's obviously the bump drafting is okay in these cars, because we're just watching Hughes all over the back of Boyd, I think it was, pushing him along without any, didn't look too serious at all. Looked good. He could actually push him.
Yeah, the bump drafting is fine. The tow is actually really good in the Mazda. If you can get behind close enough to an 86, the tow is incredible.
They're a bigger car, aren't they? I mean, side by
Yes.
side, the 86 has probably got a little bit more height to it, maybe a little bit more width as well.
Yeah, they're a horrible car to sit in and drive. You can't see anything out of them.
Yeah, right. I haven't tried them out yet in iRacing, to be honest with you. I loaded up the new updates and had a look, and I was happy with the look of the car. It looks fantastic. As you say, it's got a lot of grip. I'm keen to have a crack sometime and just test it out for myself, but I'll have to find some time to do that. But they're looking good out there. It's pretty consistent at the moment. The lap times, as Jared Hughes now goes to a quickest lap time, he's ducked into the 2-minute 29s. I think that's with a little bit of assistance from a draft and a push. So those lap times are pretty scorching at the top.
Yeah, it's amazing what these sports can achieve.
We're going to have a look at Jesse back in 18th place, leading class, obviously Class B, but this is the MX-5 with a good gap now over Darren Linus, 4.2 seconds. So the class leader here in the Lockmec racing car is just edging the back of Henry Fenson, who we saw last season was super quick. Fenson at the back at the moment of the 86s, 17th place. So he'll be probably a little bit disappointed that he's not up further. He's up 9 positions though, so qualifying has let Henry down tonight. And it's taken him, what, 4 laps to wiggle his way into the 17th place. I think Fenson is probably someone who will see, you know, knocking on the door of a top 10 for most of the season. But as you said about the draft, I'm just watching Jesse right up the back of Henry Fenson. That little MX-5 in a straight line is quick.
Yeah, it's great fun to drive, I must say. I'm really enjoying.
Oh, we got a car in the fence. We got a car in the fence big time. And that was Ray Harrison. Has just clouded the wall. Watch out, Greg. You probably saw that as he came through.
Yeah.
And yeah, Harrison is in all sorts at the top of the hill there. Let's hope this is a clean rejoin. Plenty of damage. We'll limp that back to the pits. But yeah, big loser. I think he just got out on the grass and the rest is history. And, that's unfortunate. So damage to him. He'll struggle his way back, and fancy that happening at the start of the lap. He's got to go such a long way to get that repaired. So Phil Cell leads, Hobson P2. They're together, these two. And they've probably had a few good duels over the years, Hobbo and Phil Cell. Let's see what Hobson can do here. Obviously streams his perspective of racing, Hobbo88 over on Twitch. If you're interested, go and check it out. And we'll jump on board with him now, just have a little bit of a look. This circuit with the track map up there, you can see the field spread has opened up a little bit, to be expected. Plenty of cars out there, and I was saying before, Greg, it's such a big turnout. 44 cars out of the 50 entrants to rock up for race 1. That's incredible.
Yeah, I've got a few boys that obviously can't race every week, but we've sort of kept a spot for them. They'll sort of be in and out over the season, but yeah, I'm sort of thinking that we'll average around 45 most weeks, so that's plenty, I think.
Yeah, it's a big field, man. And obviously, the calendar, we've got a couple of tighter tracks coming up too. So once you start getting high 40s in any race meet, it can get a little bit wild and wily.
Oh, we've got another car in the wall.
We'll pick up who that is. There's a spinner, definitely. It's I think it might be Dean Mullock. It is. He's gone off with a blown motor, so that's going to be the end of his first race. He's, I think, requesting a tow. That car is not going anywhere. So as Oliver now does a 2:29, so the times up the top continue to blister away. Oliver's pulling away from Glenn Boyd and chasing down Ryan Casher. So Casher's up 6 spots. I know it was Med Chunga over on YouTube was requesting a bit more Ryan action. So here he is with Ben Hoonan race team, and currently sitting in behind Ben Snell. Jack Boy is just dropping back as well. Maybe went a little bit wide, but I can just see him to the in the middle of your picture there. He's dropping back and has fallen back behind Jared Hughes, who's now back up into 3rd. So it's a little bit of movement at the front. The top 10 covered by 6 seconds, 11 minutes into the race. So that's pretty decent. The field spread at the top. Oh, big sideways action there from Ben Snell, and that momentum is gone. And you'll see Casher think about a run up the inside. He's going to lose the back end again there, and around he goes. So he hung on to it in the end, but will drop a few positions there. Snell, after such a good run, has just looped that car around, and unfortunately will drop back to P10. So we had the pleasure of seeing that whilst we're on board. We'll get a look at a quick replay in a second. But I tell you what, that's something that looks a little bit hard to drive once it starts to go around. As we have a look now from the replay. There it is, the back end, big movement, and was the next corner as Casher went up the inside. No contact there. The back end went away. It's almost like lift-off oversteer there, and then the back exits the building, and he luckily kept it facing forward. It could have been a lot worse than losing 10 spots. So the fastest man out on the racetrack is this guy here, Aaron Oliver, with a 2:29.57, and he's right up behind Ryan Casher. So that's helping him put in these blistering lap times. But you can only go as fast as the guy in front, or you've got to overtake him. So what does he do here? He was pretty quick on the last lap too. In fact, the last lap was a 2:29.33 from Casher, but with an off-track, meant it wasn't counted as the fastest lap of the race. So Cash is holding his own here against Oliver. In fact, now we've got a lapped car in the mix as well, which will get out of the way with the MX-5s. And we start to wait on people taking fuel stops at some point, midway point of this race. Wayne Losh is the top driver so far that has gone in and taken fuel. He's running in 21st position. And there he is. So 21st, took on 8 seconds worth of fuel. So we'll learn that as the series goes by, or this season goes by, of how much fuel we think they need to get to the end of the race. But 8 seconds for Loshy, 9.5 seconds for Moz, who had a spin early on, and 11.7 seconds for Keith Logan, who may have taken a bit of extra fuel on just to make sure he's comfortable and safe at the end of the race. As always, we'll do some around the grounds shout outs. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give you a couple of shout outs whilst we hit the midpoint of this first race. Or if you're on Twitch, I forget to give our Twitch followers a mention, but hello to anyone on Twitch as well. G'day and welcome aboard tonight for what is our first broadcast of 2023. Still feels crazy saying 2023.
Has done it.
It's nuts. Although I just keep saying 2022, to be honest with you. I'm having to try very hard to remember it's 23. But how you going out there, Greg? You went a little bit quiet for a moment there. You're concentrating. You're up 9 spots into 15th. You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I've got ahead of Darren Linus, but he blinked on me, and that caused me to lose sight of where he was.
You've got him here, I think, because you're about to go around him and puts you up. Oh no, that was a lap car, was it?
No, that was Darren as well.
Oh, that was Darren, yeah. So you're up into 14th now. Nice job.
I don't know if I can... I got within 7 seconds of Jesse at one stage, but dropping back a little bit now.
So yeah, P2 in class, you're running well. 10 positions you've made up. In fact, some of those drivers, are you watching on your relative to know those that have stopped for fuel and where they're at the moment?
Yes, so... I don't know what Darren's got in that tank, but God, that thing is a rocket in a straight line. I can get around him in the corners, but as soon as we hit the straight, he's back on me again.
Yep, you saw that. The slipstream obviously powerful. I saw the windscreen wipers come on there again for the MX-5. It's they're teasing us still about this rain coming in iRacing as Jared Hughes gets ahead now of Jared Philsell at the top. So it's Jarrod versus Jarad, and Jarrod is in the lead. So this is heating up at the front. Hobbo back to third now. Jack Boyd, we've got a 4-car battle for the lead, and the 4 cars gap is 0.6 seconds, so 6/10 covering the top 4 of these very competitive races. This is great. We're just seeing a bit more bump drafting. I hope they don't unsettle each other here. We'll jump back on board with Boyd. Here's a view from the 86, sitting back in 4th. You just hear him having to hunt a little bit at the throttle there. Took a few bites at it before it gripped up. We'll just stay with this. In fact, we haven't done visor cam yet. Let's give it a crack for 2023. I'll jump on board with some visor cam and see what it's like from the perspective of Jack Boyd. So riding on board now, and you can see over the humps here, this next right-hander under the Speedville sign, this is where you really burn your tyres up. And you can just see him working the steering wheel, trying to find a little bit of bite in the front, then he backs out of that throttle, make sure he's got enough bite in the front to turn, and then he starts to feed the throttle in. Don't go too wide there, you end up in the grass and you end up in all sorts of trouble. This next corner is almost flat. In fact, it is flat to the boards. And then you start to think about picking your braking zone. Whilst he's just dropped back there, Jack Boyd, from on board, you can see he's dropped back about 6 or 7 car lengths. I'm not sure where he lost that time. He seemed to have a pretty decent run, but just drops back hard on the brakes, closes back up again. A bit of a kiss of the dirt for, I think it may have been Hughes in the lead. Threw the dust up in the air, and now we go through this tricky little final part of the circuit. So up into, in fact, in these cars, I'm so used to seeing this in the supercars or the GT cars. you get a little bit more time to think about what you're doing in these cars, which I reckon's cool. Into the pits they go. The top 4 all head in for what is our first of, only one pit stop. Very good. Look at this. It's a pit party, I think you call it in iRacing, pit party, when they all go in together.
No one's prepared to blink.
That's it. So we've got the top 10 in the pits, and
Wow.
I think Phil Cell's still pushing. He is down the pit lane. Now I wonder if you push another car over the speed limit, if you would get them a little infringement as well as yourself. I wonder if you would do that. Probably not something you want to try out.
You might be giving somebody a 4X too.
That is true. So in the pits, I'm looking back to Aaron Maguire. He's in too. So the top 13 in the pits now. And I think.
Oh no!
I think Lee Harrison will probably go in as well. I've heard an oh no there. Have you come a croppers or what's happened?
I hit. That's my race cooked. I hit this pit lane speed limiter, but it didn't engage.
Oh no. Yep. So speeding in the pits. We just saw Dylan Canto in all sorts. He's lost the front end off that car and was dancing around against the barrier when we crossed over. So he's had an incident there, I think by himself. So when do you know if you've sped in the pits? Does it tell you straight up?
Yeah, you get a hold for 40 seconds flag.
Oh, okay, that's not good. So lap 8.
I followed Darren in and was trying to make a bit of ground, but by the time the speed limiter engaged, it was too late.
Yep.
Never mind. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, never a good thing to speed in the pits.
No, they're really hot on it too, iRacing. They don't give you much leeway.
Yeah. Well, that's the advantage of not having a radar gun and just having a computer program.
Yeah. Sometimes I question their accuracy, but again, I don't know that you can really argue.
No. Not with the zeros and ones, as we see Hobson leading again. So I always love the fact that these guys at the top end, they take different fuel loads on. Now, obviously, some have been saving, some have been using more fuel. Hobson, I can tell you, took 8.65 seconds worth of fuel in that stop. Now, Jared Filser, who's right up his backside at the moment, 9.25 in the pits and 9.77 for Jack in P3. So there's going to be a bit of strategy coming to this at the end of the game. And Hobson, whether or not he saved enough in that first 20 minutes to be able to run in front and not save for the last 10, we'll find out, because on the figures there, Jared's got a little bit more fuel in the tank, and he's really given him a bit of a working over at the moment through this back end of the circuit. Now, coming onto the pit straight, I probably expect to see Phil Sell take the lead shortly, so we'll see if he wants to push the point, but his driver's at the front, really moving along nicely. And there's Boyd. Cash has dropped back a little bit now. Phil Sell, instead of overtaking, goes the bump draft. You can see that well engaged into the rear end of Hobson and pushing him along to try and edge out that gap from Jack Boyd. Ryan Casher still sits in 4th, and it's Hughes. Oliver further back has Damien Seeger for company in WBT Racing, and then it's Boyd, Glenn Boyd, the other Boydie out there, sitting just by himself at the moment, 8th place. Then we look back to Mark Foster in Foster's Sim Racing car. A lovely shade of green in that one. Followed by Lee Harrison to round out your top 10. So Foster, Harrison, 9th and 10th. Then it's Wayne Losh, and we look back to our first MX-5. It is still Jesse, the Lockneck racing car, back in 15th place. So there he is. And the gap back to his closest rival in class is just on 16.5 seconds. So that's unfortunate for you, Greg, because you were right. You know, in the hunt, you know, just waiting for something to go wrong for Jesse, but that little pit lane infringement's cost you dearly.
Yeah, it's part of racing, as they say. We'll see if we can get a few spots back up with what's left in this race. And
I like this this inverted top 8 as well, because that's going to that'll spice things up a bit.
That's Hobbo's legacy. He kept calling for reverse grid races.
Yeah.
I looked at the field and thought there's probably a few guys not quite up to starting at the front of the field, so we just inverted the top 8.
Yeah, so as it stands right now, that would put Glenn Boyd on pole. So I like that. It just adds a little bit of spice, something different. And yeah, it just keeps everything fresh for race 2, especially if there's someone racing away with it, which we haven't seen. I expected to see maybe Phil Cell come out and dominate, and Hobbo and Boyd be fighting a couple of seconds behind, but it's all together. Hobson still leads. The top 3 still covered by less than half a second, and then you got Kasha, Hughes, Oliver, and Seeger all there in the top 7, and there's 8 seconds there, but they're all there ready to pounce if something goes wrong. You never know. Maybe 2 of these big guns at the front might accidentally come together, and all of a sudden we've got a big upset. So we'll stay tuned. We've still got just on 6.5 minutes in this first race tonight for the Roadster Rumble Season 8. And it's looking good at the front. But I want to go spend some time. I know I don't do this enough, but I want to go down the back and start finding a few drivers and give them a bit of airtime here. So we'll start with Andrew Dutch whilst they're racing at the front there. There's Andrew Dutch, 19 spots he's made up. So I want to highlight his racing a little bit, because you don't need to be winning or up the front to show some good driving. And this guy is doing just that. So fighting his way back. We've got a question there from Anzac Kid over on YouTube saying, how do we join this league, and is it too late for the season? Well, Greg is with me. He can answer that.
Never too late. Obviously, if somebody wants to join in the fun, we quite often ask them to come out and do a couple of practice sessions, so we just get a bit of an idea on their abilities and stuff. But easiest way is to just head over to our Facebook page, join the page, send me a message, and yeah, we'll take it from there. But my aim has always been to have consistency, not necessarily everybody being fast, but people that want to race and turn up every week and don't get upset, when things don't go their way.
Yep.
And we've got a great core group of people that turn up every season now, obviously led by Hobbo and Jack, but there's a lot of people that they look forward to coming back and racing every season. And that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily about being quick enough to win.
Yeah.
It's just want to see people having some fun.
And I see that reflected too off the practice sessions, and there's a lot of those going up over the last couple of weeks as people get ready for this season. But a lot of excitement, a lot of camaraderie as well between, the series.
Yeah, that's really what we're all about. It's just people, having, like I said, just being able to relax, have some fun. We do practice sessions together. Every now and then we sort of might let loose a little bit during a practice and have some real fun, but majority of the time, and if guys join and they're not sure or they're nervous or whatever, there's always people happy to jump in and give them a hand with anything they need.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, we're looking at a battle at the front at the moment. 5 cars separated now by 0.6 of a second, so they're all involved. We're running into the last 4 minutes of this race. Things are moving around. Phil Cell's now been overtaken by Hobson again. And coming through, Kasha goes up into P2, goes to the inside of Phil Cell. So Ryan Kasha pushes Phil Cell a little bit wide. Phil Cell all out of shape as he came back on. He caught it. That could have been the end of Phil Cell, but he did a great job to hang on to that. Now he goes deep under brakes down the inside of Jared Hughes. So how good is that? Some fantastic racing at the front. That's taking a little bit of pressure now off Hobbo, who leads from Kasha, and Phil Cell's dropped 1.2 seconds back with that little bit of drama. So, wow, that was an interesting little phase of 2 or 3 corners there. And gloves are off at the top here, and Ryan Kasha, who's new this season, is taking no prisoners.
It's interesting because Jared, Phil Cell and Hobbo have teamed up this season as well. So.
Well, here we go. Well, we're just looking at Hughes now, who's just got ahead of Phil Cell as well. And Hughes goes up into a podium position, and this is good. Just see Jack Boyd sitting back there in 5th thinking, what's happened? What's going on? This is not like last season. Last season I was just up the front walking away and battling with Hobbo. Now he's P5, but he's got a lot of work to do over these last couple of laps, trying to sneak ahead of the Jared Phil Cell, then Jared Hughes, then you got Ryan Kasha and Brenton Hobson for Synergy Sim Racing leading us on lap 11. So lots of work to do in the last lap, keeping them nice and, I presume, sweet through the corners. Momentum is key in these cars, I presume, like most low-powered production cars.
Definitely.
So, they sound pretty good too. I'm pretty happy with the sound that iRacing's got out of these 86s. And here goes Kasha. He's thinking about a win here, Ryan. I don't know if Med Chungus, who's a fan of him, is still watching, but I reckon you should hang on the phone here because we've only got 2 minutes to go. And Ryan Kasha could be staring down a win for the first race in Season 8, the first one for 2023. And he could take this out. He's just really pushing the envelope there up against the back of Hobson. Hobson would have felt that rubbing against the back bumper bar. And now they head up the pit straight for what should be the last time. We've got 28 minutes and a quarter on the clock with a 2.5 minute lap. So this will be the white flag final lap of the race. And the top 5 separated now by 0.7 of a second. Bit of a gap between the top 2 and then the following 3 cars as Phil Sell pulls out of the draft. Goes to the inside of Jared Hughes, and Hughes has to give him space. Jack Boyd's eyes light up. He says, I'll have a piece of the action. He gets right alongside Jared Hughes. They almost bang doors, and that opened the door. Now Phil Sell back into third. There's going to be a late charge here as Kasha leads for a moment, and then here comes Hobson. This is all starting to get a little bit tight at the front on the final lap of this race. So it's Kasha leading from Hobson, Phil Sell, Hughes and Boyd, the top 5, separated by 0.4 of a second. We are on here. Where do you hold these practice sessions, says Anzac Kid. Like Greg said, get over onto the Facebook page. It's linked in the description in this YouTube video and also on Facebook. Oh, we've got a spinner. Kasha, after all that good work, he's put it in the fence, unfortunately, and that's going to be the end of his chance to win, unfortunately. What a great race he's had. And just to lose the back end with half a lap to go, he'll be absolutely devastated with that. All he can probably hope for now is to go back and finish 8th, and then he's got pole position. Whether or not he's thinking that way right now is another thing. But Hobbo, with the back end sliding, Hobbo gets a big swapper on now. He's out in the grass. Hobson keep it off the fence, and he does. Phil Sell back into the lead. Hughes up to second, Boyd third. Hobson drops way back to 4th place. The tyres just let go on him then, as Seeger and Glenn Boyd also drop back a couple of positions. Maybe an incident for them. But Phil Sell has just found himself back in the lead with just on a third of a lap to go after a couple of drivers in front of him have exited stage right. Now Phil Sell touches the grass. He almost loses the back end. So they're dancing around. Here goes Hughes now into the lead. And Phil Sell's under attack from Jack Boyd. So it's Hughes leads. Another car off the track. I think it was Glenn Boyd again. We don't have long to go in this race. Just a couple of corners for Jared Hughes to try and hold on. Not sure what the run to the line is going to be like. Maybe the slipstream P2 is the place to be. We might find out shortly. It's going to be like a MotoGP finish, this one. Phil Sell takes a nice wide line, tries to line him up, and now we get onto the pit straight. The drag race to the finish line. The checker flag's going to drop. Who's going to win our first race of 2023? It's going to be, I reckon it's going to be Hughes. He's going to hang on. The checker flag drops now, and the winner goes to Phil Sell. Phil Sell gets in by 42 thousandths of a second over Hughes, and Jack Boyd comes home 84 thousandths of a second behind. So the top 3 within 1/10 of a second. That's a mega way to kick off the season.
Wow.
Here's another close finish. It's Harrison, is it? And no, Foster and Seeger. Nothing in between them as well. There's 2 100ths between those two as they cross the line. And this is what I mean. Half an hour of racing, and they're crossing the line 2 by 2s. Incredible.
There's a couple of race stewards that will be reviewing that finish, no doubt.
Here's Keith Logan as he comes to the line as well. He's going to try and get a run here.
We're going to dust up. It's all right, we made it.
There's Greg.
Oh, whoa!
Oh, hello. Hello.
Oof.
So he gets past McCulloch there and bringing it home. So at the moment, the top MX5, it is Jesse who has taken a class win there tonight for the first race. Darren Linus is going to get second in class for the MX5s. Then Ray Morgan is going to come home 20th outright, third in class. So we'll wrap this all up. We'll bring some results and we'll hopefully keep chatting, Greg. In a moment, we might even drag in a couple of these drivers for a quick chat. We've obviously got a gap, have we, between race 1 and 2?
Yeah, 10 minutes. I'm just going to try and take Billy at the line, but I don't think... Can I do it?
Here we go. We're watching.
No.
Pretty close. Nothing in it. So, yeah, good racing. We'll get things organised here. We'll have a quick 30-second break. We'll come back with a couple of interviews. Thanks, Greg, for popping in for race number 1.
No worries. Thanks, Luke. I'll talk to you a bit later on.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
So big run to the finish there. We see Jared Filsell win this one by the narrowest of margins. As soon as the iRacing results come across us, we'll stick them up on the screen. But Jared Filsell, by an absolute minimal margin there, takes it out in race 1. There'll be an inverted top 8 for this second race. But let's first of all have a look at the overall results for our first race of the season. That's how it ended up. Jared Filsell on top, won it by 45 thousandths of a second in the end over Jared Hughes. Jack Boyd, 3rd place with Brenton Hobson and Ryan Casher running out your top 5. Aaron Oliver, 6th place with Lee Harrison, Mark Foster Seeger and Cody Harrison, your top 10. 11th on the grid, Moz had a bit of bad luck in that one. He'll bounce back. Glenn Boyd, 12th place with Losh, Snell, and then the first of our MX5s was Jesse down in 15th place. We'll have a look at the class group for Group B. This is how they stood after the first race. Jesse Carriage with a win there, 17.4 seconds for Group B over Darren Linus, and then it was Ray Morgan 3rd in class. Very close finish between those two. Then it was Scott Baker and Andrew Dutch, the top 5 in Class B. So very good. Let's have a quick minute or so here before the cars come back out on the track just to catch my breath. Back with you shortly. We're going to have a quick chat to Brenton Hobson. We'll drag him in. He's obviously streaming as always. Hobbo88. Welcome, Brenton, to the room, mate, and welcome to a new season of the Roadster Rumble. How'd you find it out there, mate? New car, new challenge.
Yeah, that's right. Something a little bit different. I haven't done a lot of races in the Toyota yet, and I'm still learning it. I think we're all still learning it, as you can see by me making rookie mistakes in the first race. But it's putting on good racing though, so that's the main thing.
Mate, it was so close at the end, and I was, I was barracking for you. I was thinking, he's going to have a crack at the end, and then all of a sudden, the big oversteer moment and off the track. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it's a little bit touchy with the brakes, so. Got down into the corner there, and as I turned in, it locked the rears, and that was it. Off we went. So felt like a proper idiot, but all right, it was also we were in front for the invert here on the second race. It was a strategy.
There you go. So hey, talk us through the characteristics of the car, just from what you've felt so far. We've had Greg tell us earlier. There's a lot of grip in the car. What's it like? You've driven real race cars. You know what it's like.
I haven't driven real race cars, but I've driven a lot of sim cars, and that's probably the best way to describe it. It's really got a lot of grip compared to like the Mazda does. The Mazda, you can really get it in and throw it around, slide it, and drive it a lot with the throttle. This car's not quite so comfortable like that. It's very sort of sticky by comparison, and it tends to bounce around a fair bit. So it can kind of do like if you see what happened to Ryan on the last lap on my inside at turn, whatever that first left-hander is down there where he's spun out. It does tend to get up on two wheels and grip up a lot, and it spins the car around. It's pretty easy to lose the handle when you're right on the limit, whereas the Mazda's probably a bit more forgiving right at the edge of control.
Yep.
So I'd say it's a much more difficult car to drive than the Mazda's probably, but we're all sort of still learning the limits and how hard you can push and whatnot. It's very similar to the Mazda in a lot of ways. You've still got that draft, and the racing's really close, which is what we love for this series. So that's the main thing. But yeah, it's just a case of everybody finding their feet and learning, all the tricks to driving it fast.
Yeah, and you've got Jared now coming in for this series too. That's going to be incredible. Yourself and Jack had such good battles last season, but now we've got another guy, and obviously Hughes as well. Looks like he's going to match it with you. So the competitive nature of this series has stepped up, I think, another notch as well.
Oh, absolutely. There's a few people right at the front here now that you would imagine, dicing it out every week. I mean, it's always been good fun racing Jack, but we're always looking for other people to come and mix it up with us. And the schedule that Greg's or the guys have got organised for this season is certainly lending itself to fast drafting sort of circuits. So keeps people in the battle. So yeah, I think we're going to see lots of good 3, 4, 5, 6 or more even car fights in the last lap of these races, and that's going to be hectic and good fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Very good, mate. Yeah, and does strategy come into it as far as the fueling? Obviously, I've been told the 86 uses a fair bit more fuel than the MX-5, but we saw a classic iRacing pit party in that race where everyone just came in at once. Is there anything you can do different on strategy or not?
It's pretty limited. I mean, the races aren't long to start with. Yep. We're obviously fuel limited, so we have to stop, but we only need a few laps of fuel sort of to get home. So there's not without a lot of laps, there's not a huge amount of variance in the fuel drop. I mean, I saved a little bit of fuel behind Jared in that last race, but like I talked about in previous seasons in the Mazda, you only gain, fractions of a second in a pit stop by saving half a litre of fuel. You might fuel save for 3 laps and only save half a litre, and then ultimately that's only worth, maybe half a second or something in a pit stop. So it's not really like the fuel saving thing's not really much of a factor. As far as strategy goes, and like everyone pitting at the end of a fuel run, you're going to see that a lot in this series because you've got so many cars, and the way traffic is, if you just run it until it runs out of fuel, you're less likely to come out in the middle of the pack somewhere. The early pit stop's super dangerous. Not to say you can't try it. I've tried it before and I've made it work, but I've tried it before and it hasn't. So as far as strategy goes, it's pretty much the same for everyone most of the time, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of shorter sort of racing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, trying to pit early, but you're right, you'll pop out into some little MX-5 battles down the back or something, which could be a hindrance. So yeah, it's interesting. I like watching that sort of, the strategy from afar and seeing if someone does try something different, but who knows. The inverted 8 is something I've been told was your idea. That will heat things up, so tell me a bit more about that.
I had no idea it was my idea.
Mate, it's been put onto you.
Well, I think I did mention it at some point in one of the broadcasts. Maybe we can do some inverts or something, spice things up. So it's a little risky, like in this series where you're punished a lot for incidents. Like I got a 4X in that race, so I think the way the points work is that I'm going to end up getting a championship points penalty from race 1, just because
more than 5.
I exceeded 5 with a couple off tracks as well.
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
The invert's going to make it spicy, which is the idea, but it's a really difficult prospect when you're trying to race people clean. And one thing I have noticed so far in only the handful of races I've done is that this car seems a lot more susceptible to the contact incidents than the Mazda 2. So
right. I'm
not sure if that's the case yet. We'll give it some more time and see. But I mean, I picked up before it's in that one. There wasn't a lot in it, so we'll see what happens. But hey, you got to win. We're here to win. That's what we're here to do. So we're all going to give it a crack, and ultimately that's what it's all about. So it'll be good fun racing, I'm sure.
Does the bump drafting give you an X as well? Because we saw a lot of that in race 1.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that it appears to not give a 4X.
Right.
We were doing it in that race and didn't have any dramas with it. I know the Mazda used to pick up contact from bump drafting, so that's one improvement, but the side-to-side contact seems a lot worse in this car. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll give it some time and see how it goes. But yeah, the invert will be interesting. I don't know, we'll just have to see. Do we want to sit back and cruise and save some fuel, or are we going to try and send it and get to the front straight away?
Send it, mate. I want to see you send it. So,
right.
As always, thanks for...
half the field at lap 1, I'll say it was your fault. That's good.
I'll take it. Mate, thanks as always for giving us your time in the break here, and hopefully we talk to you at the end of the race tonight.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, Hobbo. So that's Hobbo88, Brenton Hobson. Go check him out on Twitch. Hobo88 is his handle, and definitely worth watching his perspective. Basically talks you through the race. It's quite interesting, and if you're new to watching sim racing, definitely worth seeing the driver's perspective and how it all works. They've got these cool racing rigs, racing setups, and you get in and it's basically like you were there at the real track. It's fantastic fun. Right, we've got about 15 seconds to go. These are the practice times, and well, no one's put a warm-up time in. No one's finished a lap, so we'll get rid of that. But it's good to see Scott Baker out there. Moz is out there as well in the white and green 86, and we'll get ready to go to the grid in about 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. In fact, I'll change my mind. We'll bring in Andrew Dutch and Greg. How you going, boys? We're almost getting ready for race number 2.
How you going, Luke?
Good, good. How are you finding it tonight?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's good to be back in the saddle, but yeah, a bit of a tough little thing, this Mazda now. Yeah, a little bit taily on the first few laps. Yeah, it's a bit hard.
Are you saying the Mazda's changed from last season?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Most definitely. The updates that iRacing's done have definitely changed the Mazda. So it's look, could be for the better thing. You know, with rookies coming in and whatnot. You know, bit harder to drive, bit better to learn. So yeah.
Very good. Well, let's take you through the grid. Mark Foster will start from pole position for race 2 with the inverted 8. Lee Harrison starts out of P2. Aaron Oliver out of 3 with Ryan Casher, who almost got there in race 1, starts out of 4. Hobson out of 5. And then it's Jack Boyd out of 6. Hughes and Phil Seld around at that inverted top 8. Seeger starts from 9th with Harrison and Moz. And then it's Boydie, Glenn Boyd back in P12. We usually get a short run in on these second races, so I'll fly through the grid. 13th on the grid, it's Loshi, Snell, then it's our first MX5, 15th. Carriage is sitting there well. Keith Logan out of 16, Tesserero 17th, and it's Fenson 18th, and Linus and Morgan running at the top 20. Andrew and Greg, are you going to stay with me for this one as well?
Yeah, mate, I'll be here for the whole thing.
Perfect. All right, well, we get set. We'll hold now, and the inverted top 8, we've told Hobbo to send it and see if we can get to first by turn 1. So we'll wait and see if he can do it. Here we go. The revs rise. We wait for that that getaway at the front, and there it is. So a little bit of smoke, and then they bog down. Then they seem to get going. They're a bit slow once they engage some traction there, but further back in the field, they're 3 wide. And look at this field. 44 cars get away to start race 2. What a testament to the series that so many people have rocked out for this first round. And they sweep down through turn 1. So far, so good. Well behaved. Everyone knows that they've got to get through half an hour here. Don't chuck it away on the first corner. And Hobson makes up a spot. So he didn't get to the P1, but he got up into 4th, which is not bad. Hughes as well, looking quick. Works his way through. We do have a bingle. It's Linus, I think, involved in that. We'll try and find it. We've got a couple of cars around. And facing the wrong way is, I think, it's Tesserero. It is too. And Darren Linus was the first one to go around. So unfortunately, they're going to be stuck there and possibly heading back to the pit lane. No safety cars in this series, obviously. Greg, we do what we do. Was there ever a time where we thought about maybe doing virtual safety cars like some series do?
We did do a virtual one, but you know, obviously if we lose a dozen cars on lap 1, then you know, we'll be tempted. But
hang on a sec, we got a car off us. Hughes has gone grass cutting. He's way off the track. He's going to lose about 10 positions here. This first lap is a time you don't want to go off like this. In fact, he's going to continue to drop down. I think, Greg, you just shot past him. You would have seen the blue 86 out on the grass there. He's still trying to regain. He's down in 30th place nearly. So that's how far he's dropped just by making that little mistake on the opening lap here as we go back towards the front. We do have another one. That's Dutchy. He's with us. He's gone around. Talk us through that one, mate. Facing the wrong way.
I clipped the grass, mate.
So easy to do. Oh, someone's coming to join you as well. Simply. Someone out to your right-hand side also found the grass. You got a bit of damage there. Does it tell you if you got the meatball flag up?
Yeah, mate, I've got the meatball, mate. I'll nurse it around, mate. Yeah, no, just got a little bit too wide. Tried to trail break it into the corner a bit too much and lost the rear end, mate. And yeah, clipped the outside grass, and that pretty much just sent me off. So it is what it is, mate. These things happen in racing.
Oh, that's it. You can just blame having me in your ears for that first lap.
That's all right, mate.
I tell you what, Hobson did make it to the front. So on the first lap here, he sent it, And he's gone from back in 5th place, I think it was, to lead this race from Ryan Casher, Foster, Oliver. Jared Filsell's up 3 into 5th place. Then it's Boyd and Mozzie's up into 7th, followed by Ben Snell. So good start. And once again, Casher really pushing along here. It's a 2-minute 42 from a standing start there for Hobbo. Not bad at all, but Casher looks like he wants to lead this race on lap 1. G'day, Damien, who said welcome back in the chat. Mate, it's good to be back. So Jared saying that he's uploaded his livery late and it should be identical to Hobbo's, just white. Well, there you go. We'll refresh that for next week, Jared. That's why you got to get in early. That's what I always say to him. Isn't that right, Greg?
That's exactly right.
So that's why...
You need to do all the housework early.
Yeah. I'm not doing a refresh mid-race. That would look very, very terrible. So he's going to have to run the Falcon paint tonight. But Phil Self sends it back towards the inside. And he goes down the inside. Moves up into P3. So it's now Casher, Hobbo, Phil Self, Oliver, Boyd, Moz, and Foster, Snell. We've got more contact further back too. And I think it may be... Oh, he's gone around there. Reese, he's facing the wrong way. Now watch this from on board. He's got to wait for a clear moment to spin. He almost spins right in front of another car there. Now he has to wait for 3 or 4 more cars to go through. So, unfortunately, costly error down there at the left-hander. We've seen that a few times. Once you go around, you just got to wait. You've got to wait to go through safely. Otherwise, you'll get slapped over the wrist and get yourself a penalty for next race. And we don't want that. So, Casher out in front now, 0.3 of a second.
Oh, it's a big one, Luke. Big one.
Go and find. Oh, we do. We've got 3, 4, 5 cars. It's that corner as well. It's caught him out, and Logan's involved in that, I think. Yeah, Keith down there. Greg, are you through there safe? No, you're in the fence as well.
I already had damage from Reese's spin. I clipped his wheel when I tried to get through.
So 4 or 5 cars off in the wall there. We'll see if we can get a quick replay on that.
Some pretty average driving, I must say, for race 2. I think they all went and had noodles in the break.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Oh, well, here we go back to the front here. Hobbo, Casher, and Phil Cell. So it's,
wow.
it's heating up again.
Oh, there's absolutely cars everywhere, Luke. And still guys flying along without thinking.
We got Ray Morgan said, first podium ever, need to settle myself down. So he's pretty stoked with that first race. As we now watch Jared Philsell does a 2:30.1, hence why he's right on the back of Casher here, and he's going to probably pull out of this draft and attack. No, he doesn't. He stays P3. So Martindale on the blower. Now we've got a heap of cars in the pits. I presume that's all the damaged cars.
Yep.
Phillips in there, Graham Ellis is in, Lee Harrison's in, Anthony Connors in the lane, Tyson Gordon, all in the lane very early in the race. We're only 5 and a little bit minutes in, so very unfortunate.
Where I'm headed now.
Into the pits.
Yeah,
the long timers.
I'm going to try and stop this time.
So we're going to do a reset. We're going to do it from the air. Look at that. Oh, white. It's white racing at the moment. Going to get some new paints on these cars. Just a couple of other drivers just sent me a PM. And there we go. So Hobson leads the race. It's the white factory 86 race behind him. In fact, it's Casher out in front. So Casher leading. He's so tell me a little bit about this guy, Greg. Where's he come from and why is he so fast?
Ryan raced with us in season 1. Was very quick in our original Mazda series. Went off to do. He used to race an XL. Then landed him a really good drive in the 86s. In real life, he's a constant sort of top 10 finisher. Him and Jared are both very quick in real life. So obviously they, a bit more sim time practicing for the real thing has paid dividends.
Yeah, looking good. And Phil Cell now is trying to find a way through. And for all that refreshing of the paints, Jared, your paint didn't come through anyway, so there you go. We'll let it roll. We'll have it on there for next week. He'll have his new paint on, hopefully. But he is teamed up with Brenton Hobson, we've heard there. So, and you told us that too, Greg. So obviously the team name Brenton Hobson runs under the Synergy Sim Racing banner. Does that mean Phil Cell's under that banner as well?
Possibly for this series. I don't know that
series,
he's changed. because you broadcast the Logitech series, don't you?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. So I think there would be uproar if
I think so.
if Jared sort of changed teams.
Yes. Yep. But no, it's looking good. So Andrew, mate, tell us about the off season for you. You've been excited to get back into this. Obviously not the best start for race 2 here, but the series, mate. We've got a lot of people commenting, how do we get into this, as we have had in the past too. What has it been like just waiting around for this first round?
Pretty boring, to be quite honest. It's like I said earlier, it's good to be back in the saddle, mate. I didn't really do much racing over the Christmas break. Just done a few quiet. Oh, well, actually, I wouldn't say quiet iRacing races. But yeah, just done a few official races just to keep fresh and whatnot. But it's good to be back in the saddle, mate. Anyone that wants to join this series, it is a great series to be a part of. Great bunch of guys, great admins, 2 great cars to drive, preferably the Mazda, rather the Mazda than the 86. But that's just me personally. But it's worth getting in. So yeah, it's great to be back in driving, mate. Even though I'm down in P16.
Well, 16, that's all right. You'll come back.
No, I'm just going to pot around, mate, do my own thing. Just try and keep it off the grass.
So a bit of change going on. We're just seeing a couple of drivers running wide. The grass Kasha is fending off Filsa here. We're going to go back a little bit further because Ben Snell on the back of this pack in the Toyota there, all over the back of Moz, and then Jack Boyd trying to find a way through. These cars look pretty clean, no damage as yet. And we heard Hobbo just say how much the damage affects these cars too, and how actually easy they pick up damage in the side contact area in particular. So keeping your nose clean is such an important thing, and especially in a series where you're awarded a championship point deduction for every 5, isn't it? 5 incident points, and then for every one after it's a championship point. So if I read that correctly. So yeah, it's so important to keep your nose clean, which most of them are doing well. And I always give you credit for that, Greg, because some series, they let them go out there, they let them bang and barge and disconnect when they've had their crash. This series, there's a lot of respect between the drivers.
Yeah, we've tightened down even more this season. I've told people if they rage quit, then they can have the next week off as well, because that really grinds my gears when I see people just quitting for the sake of it.
Yeah.
We've also implemented a careless driving rule this season. So if the stewards believe that the incident was because of careless driving, your reward is that you miss qualifying for the next round, get to start rear of grid, and that's pretty much where you stay until you can do a race without an incident.
Yeah, right. No, it's a good system, and it seems to work really well.
Well, it doesn't really affect the boys out the front, but it hopefully teaches the rest of us, me included, that part of being fast is racing clean.
Yep.
So that's really what it's all about, is just trying to keep the racing fun but clean at the same time.
Yeah, and we're seeing big gaps between the Group B drivers. So the MX-5s at the moment, we've got Jesse here once again, just walking away with what looks like it's going to be a pretty easy victory. Scott Baker's about 7.6 seconds behind. So Jesse has come straight out of the barrel here with really good form for race 1.
Yeah, I might
put a bag of cement in the back of that car, or what?
We'll have to come up with some sort of plan, but Jesse is over the practice sessions, he was really quick, and it really gets down to qualifying and getting a good clean first lap in. If you can do that, you're pretty well on the money to be out. If you can stay away from the rest of the group, your lap times sort of just need to be consistent to stay there.
Yep. We're just watching back at the front now after spending some time down further in the order. This is the battle for the lead. Phil Sells side by side with Ryan Kasha. And wow, that's close. Ryan sweeps across the front of him. and says, not this time, mate. We're almost at the halfway point, and we're not far off seeing that big pit entry party happen, I think, again. Will anyone decide to jump early? We said to Brenton, is it worth trying? And he said the risk is just so high. You know, if you're up in the top 4 here, you could try an undercut, but you're probably going to pop out in an MX-5 battle and find yourself in a bit of strife anyway. But I tell you what, Wayne Losh has dived in from a top 10 spot, so he's going to try it and see if he can't get himself a few positions up. I mean, if you're stuck behind a train, surely it's worth rolling the dice. We're not here to not do that. Take a risk here and there.
Well, it works in real life. I don't see why it wouldn't work on the sim.
Exactly. So we'll keep an eye on Loshy and see where he pops out when all is said and done. But he's in the pits now, and we'll give you an update shortly. Ben Snell in the 86 is someone who has already stopped. Took 9.6, so it looks like that 9.6, between 8.5 and 9.6, is the amount of time needed for fueling. And as you mentioned earlier tonight, the MX-5s take a fair bit more. Is that right? Because they're up around the 15, 16 second mark. Yeah,
so the MX-5 in this race tonight needs around 7.6 should see you home. The Toyota probably needs around 10, maybe 12.
Yeah, right.
To make it home.
Yep, so we're watching, they're still riding the curbs, these cars at the front. We'll have a couple of onboard shots here from Kasha looking back. This is a view back at Jared Philsell, Brenton Hobson behind. I'm loving the way the cars move around, and obviously Jared's got a real gift at being able to hang on to one of these cars. He can dance the back end around. You know, you put myself in one of these, and any sort of correction like that would find myself spitting out across the road. But he has this ability to drift these cars and really dance them around on their limit of grip, and we're seeing that tonight. This onboard shot really represents you can see how much work he's putting in. They don't just hold the steering wheel straight and floor at these guys, and look at that, bang, that's a bump draft and a half. Philsell into the back of Kasha, just trying to push him away from Brenton Hobson. Surely you got to feel that impact from on board. That was quite aggressive.
Be a few 4Xs popping up, I would imagine.
Yeah, that was one thing Hobbo did point on too. He said he got a couple of off tracks as well as a 4X, I think, for his first race. And we know how proud Hobbo is last season, and in previous seasons of going through a whole race without any off tracks at all. Cash is in, so here we go. He's gone different to the rest of the crew. So everyone's stayed out by the looks of it, except for your race leader, Ryan Kasha, who's tried to sell a dummy, I think, to everyone, and then everyone else has gone, no, you can go into the pits. We're staying out. So from the lead of the race, he'll drop right down the order as Moz does a new fastest lap at 2:29.79. Decent time there for Moz, up into 5th place. And down the order to Aaron Maguire. A little shout out to him. 16 spots he's made up in this second race tonight. 13 for Dean Malik as well. And Tyson Gordon has made up 18 spots. So a couple of drivers with some big improvements in this first or second race of the night. Nice job. So Philsell leads from Hobbo and Jack Boyd. Now, we're talking about the livery before. Jared's informed us that he's got the white version of Hobbo's livery. So that will look cool when these guys are battling it out, having their alternate liveries. And we're going to see him battling out throughout this season. As Jared, I mean, obviously Jared's got a pretty full calendar of racing, and he's committed to racing every round and trying to win this one.
Yeah. He joined us previously for our little 3-round enduro series in the Mazda, and I think he's like a lot of people, has a lot of respect for what we're trying to achieve with the league.
Yep.
Like you said, there's a lot of leagues out there that just sort of let people turn up and race, but a bit of a stickler for everybody should at least get some level of enjoyment out of it.
Well, yeah, I love too that, and I touched on this slightly before, but the fact that you didn't just ditch the MX-5, because I know it's been a staple of the series, but when this car came out, everyone wanted to do an 86 series. I mean, I didn't take anything new on, but I got approached by probably at least 4 or 5 series that say, we need a broadcaster. And so I could see this huge influx of, someone just spun right in front of the race leader there. That was a hairy moment, but there was a huge influx of new 86 series. But I love the fact that you've stuck with the MX-5 to put them both together to make something unique. So it's not like everything else, which is, mate, credit to you. That's really cool.
Well, I'll be honest, I think we were talking at one stage and I said to you I'll come and do the broadcast because I had no intention of racing the 86. It's just not my cup of tea, and I thought, well, if we don't have any choices, I'll run a Mazda League on a different night and let them run the 86. But when I saw an update from iRacing and half of that update was the 216 car, I thought, wow, we might actually be lucky here. And sure enough, it's improved enough that you can actually race it and it holds its own.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now they're in the pits now. Pit party at the front. We'll keep an eye on Wayne Losh because he did jump in a couple of laps ago. Took 9.3 seconds worth of fuel, so here he is. And the other one too is Ryan Casher. Now he was right with that lead bunch. He's coming up to cross the line now. I'm looking at where Phil Sell is. He's just leaving the pit lane, so I don't think this has worked out for Cash. In fact, he's gone back to P4. So good that he rolled the dice, but it didn't work out as intended.
A few of these boys in front of me still have to pit, Luke. It's not looking good back here.
Yeah, so further down the order, let's go down to, let's pick the 30th. Oh, it's you, Greg Holmes. Right in 30th, there we go. Behind you, you've got Conan. He's, what is he, 31st now, up 5 positions. Then Reese is sitting back in 32nd. Ray Harrison and Dave Gogol we haven't seen at all tonight. He's in the yellow and blue MX-5 for 72 Racing.
The Google machine.
The Google machine, yeah. Then you got Adam St. John behind him. Darren Linus further back was in the wars earlier on. Andrew Dutch, who's with us in the commentary booth, although being very, very quiet there. He's just racing around in his...
I'm in the wars again.
His little fender bender. It looks like... Where are you from, Andrew?
Same spot, mate. Same spot.
Where are you from in the country?
Newcastle, mate.
Newcastle, okay. I'm just trying to think of the closest speedway to you because you look like you've done a few rounds in the...
very much so, mate.
In the modified
same spot,
production.
Exact same little scenario as before.
She's pretty bent.
Never learn.
Yeah, Newcastle, beautiful spot up there, mate. Well done. Got a few friends up in Newey. Love the place. Maybe a little bit too warm for what I'm used to here in Southern Highlands, but I do love it. It's a good place to visit.
Yeah, it is a beautiful part of the country, mate. Very beautiful part.
Hey, a lot of car nuts up there as well, I reckon, because I know back in the day when I was more involved in local car clubs, but there was always a massive contingency of people up in Newcastle coming out of the woodworks with their modified cars.
Mate, there is a plethora of car clubs up here. Your Holdens, your Fords, Commodore owners clubs, Falcon owners clubs, everything.
A lot of Celicas
like
too. Toyota Celicas. Yeah, the old ones,
yes.
the old Mustang shape.
Probably a few Hyundai XLs. You could throw anything up here, I reckon. It's good up here, mate. Everyone loves their cars up here. And I think it's good for the city that we've got a V8 supercar race up here. So it's really brings people together up here.
Incredible. I know one thing that I don't like about Newcastle, and it's not about Newcastle, it's when they stop letting people lap it up and down the main near the lighthouse there, because that used to be a classic spot for cars to rock up and hang out, but then the police started to really... Yes,
mate, and they've cornered it all off with their little concrete pylons. So
really?
It's just the main street, which is 30 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, right. Okay, so they've really stamped it out because it used to be such a great hangout on a Sunday afternoon. You go up to Newcastle there near the lighthouse, and there'd be 500 cars. It was like going to an auto salon on a...
Yeah, mate, it was quite good, but yeah, they've really clamped down on that now. So it's it is what it is, mate.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, mate, that a few hoons wrecked it for everyone. But look, it is a great place, so it's good to have you joining us tonight. Bad luck with the shape of your car, but obviously, Greg was saying you'll probably drop in for a few more chats over this series.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, got a surgery coming up, mate. So it's going to put me out completely, mate. So I'm going to be joining you if you're happy to have me, mate.
Definitely.
Every Monday night from after the 8th of February. So. It'll keep me involved in the league, mate. Give me something to do and actually see it from your side of the fence and see what it's like. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
Very, very good. We're just going to quickly go through a couple of the top 10 here. Phil Sell, nothing's changed at the front. In fact, Phil Sell's probably got the biggest gap he's had all race, 0.4 of a second. over Hobson, Kasha. Then it's Moz who has impressed me here. He's up into P4 now, up 7 spots. So Moz is only one little mistake in front of him off a podium here tonight. Then Aaron Oliver, Damien Seeger's up 3. Ben Snell, another driver who's really impressed tonight, 6 spots up into 8th. Currently in this battle with Glenn Boyd, who is pushing the back, but they've dropped a long way off young Jack, who's now 2.7 up the road and disappearing. I love the way this 86 picks up the front wheel too, very reminiscent of what they would do in the real world. Whilst they do look a bit more boxy, I presume this 86 is this one hit Australian shores yet? It's different to our 86 in the race trim, isn't it?
It is. This is the new one that will be hitting Australia, I believe, this year.
Yep.
This season. The word that I've heard is that they'll actually run 286 series.
Like a development
here.
series, like a Super
Yes.
2 sort of thing, is it? Yeah, with the old 86.
Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
Based on watching the 86s run regularly, that should be worse than our the incidents that we see on the sim, because
I mean,
I think,
it's a popular class in the real world. It's one of those ones where I presume they're trying to use it as a feeder to go into Super 2 or into V8 supercars. It's, you know, you're still a rear-wheel drive car, which is a positive, and there's nothing against, you know, your XLs and the Nissans and that sort of thing. But I guess if your ultimate game is to get into V8 supercars, then jumping in something like this is a little bit more than, you know, if you jump in a TCR car, you're in a front-wheel drive, so it's got a different characteristic to a V8 supercar. So surely this 86 series in the real world too, some guys probably view as maybe even a better, you know, feeder into that Super 2 class.
yeah, I think I had a chat to young Jack Boyd a while ago about you know, what he might do in the future. And the biggest drawback with the 86 series in real life is the damage bill.
Yeah, true.
You know, a lot of guys get caught up in other people's mess. But if you've got a damage bill after every round, it gets expensive.
Yeah, true.
Unless you've got good sponsors.
Or good coin behind you, a good trust fund. It's amazing. I mean, I've talked to a few friends at the race, and just the money that's just involved in tyres and, you know, just the general things that you'll always just use up on a race weekend, you know, tyres, brake pads, and fuel, just the consumables. It's just so expensive before you even think about damaging a panel on these cars.
It's crazy. That's why I love my sim.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I got a flight sim and not a real plane, because I can crash it and it doesn't kill me and it doesn't cost me money. So that's what I spend a lot of time, or waste a lot of time in my off time doing. So anyway, let's get back to this, because we've only got 4 minutes to go, probably 2 laps here, and there's the classic lap traffic getting involved here as Phil Cell under huge pressure again from Ryan Kasher. This is going to come down, I reckon, to a photo finish again, but we all saw what happened in race 1. Ryan, he dropped the beans a little bit with a lap to go. Can he hang on this time? He's once again bump drafting Phil Cell all the way down the pit straight. Hobson has a little bit of a look and says, right, I'm involved in this, I'm going to try and win it. And Hobbo is right there, P3. Let's jump on board with him as he tries to attack Kasher down into the right-hander. Kasher attacks Phil Cell as well. He's late on the brakes. Can he stop that? I think he can just stop it before hitting the back bumper of Jared's Lobs Falcon Racing car. And here we go. Now Hobson, they're going to go 3 wide under the bridge here. I'm holding my breath because this could be a catastrophe. But he's going to slip past. A bit of side draft there from Hobbo. He's a clever little fella, Brenton Hobson. He's going to go and sneak down the outside here under brakes, I reckon. He's going to hang it out there, which he does, right on the outside. Cash has to behave himself on the inside, which he does. Hobson keeps the boot into it. Could go from 3rd to 1st here if he's smart. He'll just give them a bit of extra room, because that's where I think Kasher lost it in the first race. And once again, Hobbo, he can run the outer line there in these cars. He keeps the boot in and he goes to the lead. So like I said, 3rd to 1st in the space of 3 or 4 corners, and that was good planning from Brenton Hobson. He lined that up from well back, and he knew that he could run the outside line, keep the boot in, keep the momentum, and in the end it's got him up into the lead of the race. Kasher also gets past Phil Cell, puts him into 2nd, Phil Cell 3rd, and then it's Moz, Boyd, Oliver, your top 6. So we're on for a cracking finish once again. Hobson straight away pulls out a 4/10 of a second lead. He's not mucking around, this kid.
He's a very smart racer, Brendan Hobson.
Yeah.
It's good to see some very close racing up front. It's very entertaining stuff.
It isn't like you guys are experiencing tonight. You know, talking while you're racing is not easy. And Hobbo's there. He'd be yabbing away to his fans on Twitch right now, whilst driving like he's out of control. So it's a real, you know, it's a real skill to be able to do those two things at once, I reckon.
Very much so, mate. Couldn't agree more. It was a bit of a rude shock for me tonight to do it for the first time, but you know, it was good. It was a good little experience, and yeah, I guess you know, with time, you get a bit more experience at it and multitasking. So yeah, I'll get used to it.
Here we go. One lap to go. Kasha trying to put the pressure on Hobson, but Phil Sell is right there. This is the old Formula 4, dancing around the track, trying to break a draft. We've got an MX-5 that's sitting there as well. Stays out of the way, which is good. And it's Hobson leads. Kasha, Phil Sell goes to the outside now. And Kasha gets into the lead on the outside line. Can he go around the outside of Brenton Hobson? Yes, he can. There is Phil Sell, though, giving the push and the bump draft back to help Kasha get back in the lead. So a little bit of help. I thought Hobbo was teammates with Phil Sell. Maybe it was, in fact, Hobbo in the back of Phil Sell. No, it definitely wasn't. So I thought they're teammates. They're meant to be working together, these two. As Cody Harrison goes off track for a moment. In fact, I think he's right off on the grass there. That was a wild ride. Comes back on. He's sitting in 12th, so he won't want to lose any more places. And Moz is now getting involved in this battle towards the top as well. So we've got 4, in fact 5 if you count Jack Boyd, who has to take evasive action around the outside. Almost got into the back of Moz there under brakes. Had to jump to the right, avoid the contact. Under the Corvette sign we go. The 3 in front are really duking it out now, and Moz is trying to hang on for a 4th. This is good championship points in the first round of a season, and that's what you really want. You want to go away from tonight with 2 clean races, some good points in the bag, and just set your championship up. You know, as much as they say this is just for fun, these guys want to win the championship. There's no doubt about that. And Hobson,
Definitely.
yeah, you'd attest for that, Greg. These guys, you know, at the end of the day, they want to win.
That when you said about teammates, Luke, I don't know that teammates really apply to the front half a dozen people.
That's it. No, it's good. This is going to be a roll to the wire now. We've hit the 30-minute mark, so this will be the last lap. G'day, Eddie. And great to see Peter and Eddie both on the chat tonight and tuning in for this first broadcast of the year. So g'day, guys, as we watch a pretty exciting finish. The first one, I think it was 45 thousandths of a second covering the top 2. It's going to be similar this time around as Hobson goes through with Phil Sell on the outside. Cash is having a look. Now he gets alongside, wheel to wheel. They almost bang panels there. We're into the last couple of corners. Hold your breath, folks. This is going to be Kasha trying to hang on for P2 against 2 of the best. Hobson leads. Phil Sell goes for that big, wide line. He's going to try something a little bit different here. He does get to the inside. There's contact. Kasha and Phil Sell, they engage in some contact. And who's going to win out on that? I think Phil Sell's probably going to have the momentum up the hill. And he is. He's going to take P2, but it's Brendan Hobson who takes the win. In behind, it's Boyd who gets 3rd with the bump draft to the line. Jack Boyd has got just ahead of Kasha. And Kasha in the fence right at the end of the race there. Finds himself off the podium. Can you believe? He'll want to have a look at that again. There was definitely some rubbing and racing towards the line there, but it's going to be Hobson with the win. Jared Phil Sell P2, Jack Boyd P3. That is a ripping first couple of races for this series. And, well, what a great way to kick off season number 8. Jess Carriage, put your hands together because he's come home 17th outright, but first in class for a double tonight. And that's a really good win too. That's 17 seconds over P2, which I think is probably the margin it was in race 1 as well. So decent result. Might have to invert the MX-5s as well, Greg.
I'd love to be able to, Luke, but unfortunately
You just can't, can you?
We can't do it on.
No, that's a great drive. So he's got to be stoked with that. Scott Baker too. He's had a few little issues tonight, but he's dropped back in for a P2, 20th outright, but P2 in class for race 2 tonight, ahead of Anthony Connors. That's your top 3 in Class B. So we'll take you through all the results shortly once they're given it to us from iRacing. But Brendan Hobson, too strong. He takes the win here on the Roadster Rumble. That was race 2 of 2. We'll come back shortly with the podium and we'll wrap it up here from Road America for round number 1. So we'll just take it back a little bit here to the run to the line, have a look at from on board here for Ryan Casher. He really got squeezed as he came out of the last corner. Here it is now as we look, play it from there, and you can see the onboard from Casher. He had Philsell who took that alternate line, and then Philsell came back around. There's a little hit in the door there, and that gave Philsell the momentum. Those couple of touches there is what really hurt him, I think. Just slowed the car down, then you can see here comes Jack Boyd. Jack Boyd alongside, also getting a push from behind. So that's what's, look at that, Jack Boyd got the big push from behind right at the end there. And that's what got him up into P3, so ripper of a finish. That's what we want to see. We'll go and find some drivers now, and we'll run them through with their race. So let's go and see who we've got. We've got our race winner, Brenton Hobson. We'll bring Brenton in now and congratulate him, mate. I told you to send it. You got to P4 at the start, and you sent it to the finish. Well done, mate.
Yeah, mate, I felt like I'd achieved what I was set out to do when I crossed the line in P1 at the end of the first lap. I thought Luke will be proud.
I did mention it. So well done. Ripper of a finish there to come home in first, mate. There was obviously a lot of changes for lead over those last few laps. What were you thinking coming into that last couple of corners?
I honestly didn't expect to get the win leading on the last lap. I mean, it's not really where you want to be usually, but you've seen in the past that that's sort of my thing. I like to go to the front and just see if I hold on. Normally Jack is the one who finds a way to beat me to the line, but yeah, just got the blocks on and tried to keep the track position and got lucky this time. I guess it's a pretty slow final corner, tricky final corner here. So as long as you can sort of get out of there without too bad of a run, you're normally pretty good to the finish. So lucky, I'll take it. We'll move on to next week. We get to do it all again.
That's so good. Well, Jared, mate, talk us through the end there. A little bit of contact. Took that really wide swinging line into the final corner. It paid off in the end, and you got P2.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Don't do much racing in these cars, but yeah, that wide line at the last corner worked. I had to cut a bit of grass to make it work. But we had a lot of netcode contact off the exit there, and we just couldn't not making contact with each other. It was really weird. I've never had that before. I'm trying to turn off of his car, and looks like he's trying to turn off me, and it just, we were like a magnet, which was weird. So yeah, I don't think we would have got the hobbo at the line because it's a pretty short run to the line, and these things aren't that powerful to get up that hill. But yeah, lucky we got a 1, 2, 3 for Quasi SSR, even though Jack races under his dad's name in this series.
Yeah, and we've got to fix up yours too because we've got the Lobs Falcon Racing, mate. So we'll have to update that for next week.
Yeah, that's all good.
And hey, Jack, mate, talk us through that last run to the line because you're creeping up alongside, and then all of a sudden you've got a big punt from behind, which has got yourself over for third.
Yeah, big thanks to Moz for that. Yeah, I sort of messed up my pit stop, missed the marker, so I was sort of rebuilding, trying to get back to the leaders there. So I think that was a good effort to get back to the pack. The top 5 or 6 cars are really quick this season, so yeah, made my way back up to there. Yeah, it is what it is in this car when you've got such a big draft train. Happy to get on the podium. Yeah, it was a entertaining last couple of laps.
And Jack, I've watched season after season of yourself and Hobbo battling it out. Now you got Phil Sell up there as well. Ryan Casher looks super quick, and Moz, knocking on the door. This series for the next 7 or so rounds is going to be epic.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome that Jared's joined us. It's obviously teammates in the V8 and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's heaps of fun. More the merrier. I think there's like at least 8 or 9 cars now that are on the pace at the top. So yeah, it's really enjoyable. It should be really entertaining season.
Mega. Let's do some thank yous for the top 3. Give you a chance to thank personal sponsors or shout out to friends. Starting off with you, Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, just a shout out to Jared for coming and having a run with us this season, and to all the guys at the front having some good racing. It's always good fun. To the team and the sponsors, Wave Runner Performance Centre, DGD Custom, Aftershock PC, JK Signs, and all the others. And thanks to Greg and all the guys involved with running the series. It's not easy to run a series, and they do a great job of it. And of course to yourself for putting on a broadcast.
Thanks, Brendan. Well done, mate. And Jared, P2, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, obviously not Falcon because they aren't paying me anything to run their livery. But
I did do a reset for you, mate, and it didn't work.
no,
So
it's okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was a little bit late to the party with uploading it, so that's all good. That's on me. But just second Brenton's comments. Obviously, we're teammates outside of this series and abroad. So yeah, obviously thanks to Jordan and his business Wave Runner Performance Center. Great to have them on the cars. This livery is a little trick livery, so thanks to Hobbo for making it up. I specifically asked for a white one. You'll see it next week.
we'll get on there next week.
It looks really good. Yeah, obviously you yourself for broadcasting, you do a fantastic job, as well as Greg for putting on the series. It's fun to have a little skid on a Monday night after a hard day's work. So yeah, thanks.
Fantastic, mate. Well done. And then Jack, finally, P3 tonight in the second race. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, much the same. Just Greg and his team. It's not easy to keep making seasons and keeping people interested in what we're doing. So yeah, well done, Tim. New ideas, new cars. The grids are really good. So yeah, thanks to the team. Thanks you, broadcaster. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Great. That's your top three for our Class A, the 86s. So thanks, boys. We'll see you next week. We're going to go and grab the Class B drivers now, the MX-5s. Not to be forgotten. They're a little bit further down the field, but big congratulations to Jesse, mate. Well done. You've absolutely, ripped it tonight to first place in about 17 seconds, I think, the gap in both races.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good. We come in pretty strong for the first race, and the second race the strat was to stick up with the 86s and stay in the tow, and we managed to do that, and we kept the lap times consistent, kept it pretty fast, and we managed to keep everybody behind us. So well done to Lockmec Racing. Yeah, good stuff.
Very good, mate. And yeah, how important is that to try and stay with the 86s? That tow obviously can drag you along, and then I guess you just hope a few 86s drop off the wagon along the way.
Yeah, well, I guess being the first race with these two, it's hard to judge, but I think this track combo really spoke to the MX-5 with the long straight, so they were able to get away in the carousel and stuff like that, but those big straights, we've just been able to pull them back in, so trying to stay within 1.5, kept me in the 132s, sometimes 130, 231, so I think that really helped, keep everybody, behind at that big gap, so I'll be looking to do that in the next races.
Fantastic. And we've also got, I think it is Anthony's here, isn't he? Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Luke. How are you?
Good, mate. So you got yourself P3 in that second race tonight. Well done.
Thank you. I don't know how I did it. I started 13th, and just pitted early and worked my way through. So I got caught up in a bit of an incident there. Well, I was 3 wide there at one stage, and I tried to pull out of it. Next thing I end up in the sand. So yeah, I don't know how it happened, mate.
Mate, great drive, and obviously, yeah, that 14 spots that you've made up in that race really stands out on the timing screen. So that's what you want to see. Well done. Good P3 in class for that second race tonight. So we'll do some thank yous for our Group B drivers, starting off with Jesse, who's taken out the night for Group B.
Well, thanks to Simworx, Exodus, all the other major sponsors, Palmer's, Greg, the admin team for putting it on. You, Luke's Race Stars, the thing, that's great. I'll be watching it tonight. Thanks everybody that's watching at home.
Great job. And then Anthony, who would you like to thank, mate? P3 in class.
Yep. Just like Palmer's, Lock Your Roadworthy, Simworx, Carriage and Sons. Jesse didn't put his own plug in for his own company. And Greg and the admin boys. Well done. Thank you.
Legends. So that's a couple of your drivers there from Group B. So Greg, all in all, fantastic night of racing. A couple of comments coming through saying fantastic racing by the guys in the front. Says Peter Ellenbogen. Great to see Pete and Eddie in the chat there tonight. And look, that's entertaining. That's what we're here to see. So well done.
Thanks, Luke. Really looking forward to this season. I think it will just continue to grow week by week. And as always, your broadcast is what puts the icing on the cake and separates us from everybody else. So really grateful that you're back on board, and hope that we sort of get the opportunity to get a few boys in and chat to you while they're racing. I'm not sure how many are exactly up for that task, but if we can find some more over the weeks, we'll certainly keep you amused.
Mate, we'll get it happening. That's fantastic. And a big thanks to Andrew as well for jumping in for a chat while he was racing too.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to doing the same thing next week.
Very good. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. And there is a chance to get involved, like we spoke about earlier. If you want to join the series, head over and just start joining some practices. Get onto the Facebook page for this series. Get to know a few of the guys. Jump into the practices, and who knows, you might find yourself one of these 45 cars out there on the racetrack battling on the broadcast every night. So that's fantastic. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Andrew, and everyone else. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Cheers, legends. Righto, that's it for tonight. Thanks, everyone that's tuned in. And, well, it's good to be back. I tell you what, I felt rusty at the start. It's starting to come back to me now. And we'll fix a few of the little technical errors that the PC being asleep for a month has brought to light. But all in all, been a good night of racing. Big thanks to the Roadster Rumble. We'll see you next time here, live on Racestars TV. Good night.